Minister, thanks very much for coming in. Now, first of all, let's have a quick rundown. What do you think's been achieved by this trip to France? Because boosting ties, attracting investment, the economy was really at the top of the agenda.
Yes, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. The state visit was a very productive one. It wasn't just a talk shop. There were several MOUs signed. So President Bola Ahmed Tinubu made known the priorities of Nigerian administration in areas of energy, in areas of technology, in areas of arts and culture, in areas of solid minerals. We went through a full list and what France has on offer in supporting Nigeria. We also met with the private sector and had very fruitful discussions, frank discussions on what would be needed to attract more businesses and to retain the businesses that currently operate in the Nigerian climate.
So when you're talking about frank discussions with the private sector, I'm imagining that the very complex macroeconomic context of Nigeria at the moment must have come up. You know, we're talking infrastructure, we're talking corruption, we're talking foreign currency, we're talking the even petrol. What has, and a lot of, we've seen actually over the last year or so, over a dozen major multinationals leave the country. What has been done since President Bola Tinubu came in to actually try and address any of the factors that have left those who'd already had a foothold in Nigeria decide to walk away?
Yeah, so the decisions for companies to leave didn't happen in a day. So that's the first thing. And the situation had been progressively deteriorating. So on the first day of work, basically, President Tinubu removed the fuel subsidy that had been draining the economy's resources, immediately went to work, the new central bank governor, on reuniting the foreign exchange windows and making sure that those reforms, trying to target a very stubborn inflation issue, high interest rates. So those reforms have been ongoing for the last sort of 12 to 16 months with gradual success. Now, it's always a slow recovery process for any economy. In the meantime, we've been facing regulatory reforms, really tackling them. I've basically been working on ease of doing business for more than 6 years now and focusing on the challenges that French businesses have spoken, because I related very well with the Franco-Nigerian Chamber of Commerce. And I know several French companies, the regulatory challenges, the trade facilitation challenges, the infrastructure challenges, nothing new or peculiar to French businesses. These are reforms that we have to do to put the Nigerian economy on track. And we've been working on them.
But when it comes, what specifically have you got in the pipeline to tackle the issue of inflation? Because that's not only going to hurt potential investors, but it is hurting Nigerians themselves. I mean, we're talking about multinationals fleeing, but we're also seeing a lot of top talent, Nigerian talent, fleeing because the entire environment is just too much for them to handle.
So the inflation is a symptom of the issues that had been, the malady that had been affecting the economy for a while, and it is going to take some time. What is more priority is to focus on supporting productivity and competitiveness, focusing on exports, leveraging the AFCFTA, and making sure that Nigerian businesses are supported to be export-led, to get ready, trade facilitation, regulatory reforms, transparency, efficiency of public service delivery. These are the granular things that have to be done to make sure that Nigerian businesses can compete.
So the AfCFTA, that's the African Continental Free Trade Area, you worked on that,
yes,
in some capacity.
Yes.
So how do you see that specifically addressing any of the economic issues that we see in Nigeria at the moment?
So it's basically an opportunity, especially now with the foreign exchange. Nigerian local manufactured goods are more competitive in the sense that they're cheaper than imports. And it's also a good time to look to prioritizing exports, to trade. So a lot more emphasis on trade, because that would deliver the foreign exchange supply that is so desperately needed in the economy. Now, this work is not taken in silo. You have to make sure that the businesses are export ready. You have to work on the trade reforms, the customs, the single window, all the things that businesses have been talking about for the last few years. We're already working on them and trying to fast track those things to move the economy in the right direction. It's a painful time, no doubt. But when you work in a systemic manner to deliver results and you measure them and you engage with stakeholders, then basically what gets measured gets done.
But when you're talking about businesses, are there enough? Basically, I'm trying to get at the need to diversify the economy. When you're looking for investment, is it still very much kind of primary resources, oils, trying to attract, the kind of totals back into Nigeria? Or is there actually anything tangibly being done to further diversify the kind of businesses that are running in the country to create things that can be exported?
So the Nigerian economy is quite diverse. What is not diverse is our foreign exchange earnings. So we basically export mainly crude oil. But the economy itself is quite diverse. Total is very much, in fact, Total just committed $10 billion to renewable energies in Nigeria. What we're doing is prioritizing agriculture, export-led. We need to work on market access around the continent and to other markets like the EU, working on standards, making sure, and that's where French companies coming to farm in Nigeria. We have a lot of arable land. We have a lot of agro businesses. We export cocoa. We export leather products. We export sesame seed. We export soy. So a lot of exports that the world wants. We need to scale all that. And so the enabling environment, the trade facilitation, the standards, the national quality infrastructure, those are the bricks and mortar, basically. And when you talk about enabling, you have to deliver to make sure that that scale can happen. We're very competitive in services. So Nigerian population is young, is tech savvy. We're doing very well in fintech, in edutech, in a lot of other, in that ecosystem. We're very strong in the creative sector. Those are services that can easily be exported. Yes, a number of Nigerians have left the country because it's been quite tough. And basically, are we done?
I mean, unfortunately, we are running out of time, but please do finish your thought.
I was just going to say that making sure that they can earn money even from Nigeria. So outsourcing services, that's another area. And services for exports, basically, is one of the areas where Nigeria will take a lead because that's where we can play to our strength of our young tech-savvy population.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jumoke Odowole, Nigeria's Minister of Trade and Investment, here in France on a rare state visit in a bid to boost ties between the two countries.